Morning to you, the viewer of Western Television. You're most welcome for the Kokoliriko live show. It is the first show of the day with me, Farish Majid, where we give you updates on some of the areas that you may not be knowing or you might also be knowing, and this is where we discuss and share views on what you think and what you want to really know, because it is the morning show and where we also do give you what transpires in your absence and in your presence and maybe in your vicinities and areas far away from you. So I think you are most welcome as we start off the show. It is the first show with me, as I said earlier on, and today my name is Farish Majid and we are going to be doing this together with you up to the hour of, that's 9 a.m. and then after 9 a.m. we shall be able to also pave way for the Liberty News to come through and give you what is happening in the world of news. But for now, I really want to welcome you on board as we start off the show. It is the first show, and this is Western Television, the Kokoliriko live show from wherever you are watching us from, and on no matter what platform you're using, all in all, I want to welcome you on board. And if you feel you really want to share and have a say on what we are going to be discussing on the show, also feel free to use our various feedback generating platforms, for instance, YouTube, and drop your comments there. You can also use Facebook as well and drop your comments there. We shall also be able to share with the rest of the viewers and really also tell them what you think, and maybe what you think can actually really have an impact on what we're going to be discussing, because issues that we discuss here are the pertinent issues that really may be affecting the society, and some of the things that we discuss here, we also expect them to transform society, because as Western Television, and our #1 mission is to enlighten the region, and one way we're actually going to be enlightening the region is through giving you what is happening in and around your vicinities, because some of the things that we are supposed to be discussing here must actually bring change in your life in one way or the other. And with that, I really want to also welcome you on board in a special way, and we are starting off the discussions within the region, and really the talk of the nation right now is the shooting of URA, where URA has learned nothing and forgotten nothing. This is really where so many people are talking about it, and the leaders of Mariokolo, because recently these people went and shot 4 people and injured actually 4 people, and one of the persons was actually they were able to be rushed to Nebi General Hospital, but unfortunately yesterday one was declared dead, and this was at Nebi General Hospital where he had been rushed for further medication. And this is quite sad, because you are really, the errant officers are really doing a disservice to the nation, because each and every year, why must we be talking about people losing their lives? The year is just beginning. It's still a young year, and already we are losing people in hands of URA officers, these errant UPDF officers that are being attached to URA. Really, it is quite sad. It is really quite shocking, because we continue to lose lives each and every year, which is something that we really need to also condemn, because I do understand that as citizens, it is our mandate to really also ensure that we pay taxes, we fulfill our mandate of paying taxes. But the way we also sometimes get these taxes to these officers is really not good, because these people also force us. I do understand that we are not supposed to be forced, but ever since time immemorial, I know issues connected to tax have always received resistance. Even if you had to look at way back when the colonialists were still here, those people who were able to also be able to be employed as tax officers were usually those who had the huge bodies, who were massitual enough, and the chiefs had to move with these bodyguards and force the locals. And when you had to move to the issues, the years between 1990s, and this is where the graduate tax was quite common when growing up, and we used to listen to stories of our fathers running away and hiding. And this is also where it is manifested that Uganda Revenue Authority, which was not there by then, but paying taxes to the government, have always really received the resistance from the city, from the people, because sometimes maybe it goes back to the issues of mindset. Maybe the knowledge that these people are given is not enough. And yesterday, really, on a side note, we did lose one of the people who was really rushed to Nebi General Hospital. This is Moses Achidri, and according to the information we got, Moses Achidri was shot by these URA officers who had gone to impound them an numberless motorcycle. As they were running away from, as they were running after this numberless motorcycle, and this is at Okolo Town Council, which is in the Mariokolo district, just some few meters away from Arua City, and this is where that incident really happened, which is quite shocking, which is quite sad, which is quite bad at the same time, because these people who are losing their lives, and the most shocking bit of it all is that one of the victims that was shot is a young girl. You really have to wonder, let's put this point in our prayers, who are still at Nebi General Hospital, and we really hope that they will be able to also get healed, and we should also expect justice for them. And now URA did communicate, and through the communication officer did also talk about this issue here. And what the communication officer said is that this incident actually happened as a result of maybe fear, because if you do understand the history between URA and the locals, where we do witness scuffles. Sometimes, you remember some time back, was it in Kokoliriko district, where UPDF vehicle was burnt down by the locals who got angry. And really, maybe, and some people, we have also seen scenarios where UPDF officers have lost their lives, and we have seen sometimes also where their eyes have been plucked out. We have these stories. I think where this is where she based her arguments on, but we really also condemn this, and this is where we expect URA now to uplift its games when it comes to issues of impounding the motorcycles, because we are talking about force. What kind of force are you applying on the citizens when it comes to really ensuring that you want to get the taxes out of them? Is it too minimal? Is it not too brutal? And definitely we are going to be saying it is brutal, because once people start losing their lives when it comes to issues of these people paying taxes, then that is an indication that the taxes are being obtained brutally. And right now the 3 are still nursing wounds, and they are still admitted at Nebi General Hospital. But we really hope that they will be able to get healed, and very soon they will also be getting justice. And now the leaders of Madiokolo, recently they did have a press conference in the city here, and they are now condemning the act, and they are demanding for justice. Yes, they are demanding for justice for the people who got injured and those who also lost their lives, because one of these is a young girl, and you really wonder how this is going to be impacting on them. And this is quite shocking, because we expect URA now to devise new means if the forceful means is failing, because each and every year, if you remember way back just not long ago, about 2 months ago, I want to say this, about 2 months ago, where a woman from Madiokolo again lost her life due to the negligence of the URA officers who are who are running after a motorcycle. And this happened within Arua City along Rema, where this incident happened. This PDM beneficiary was from withdrawing money, and due to the negligence of URA officers who parked the vehicle unhowly, it was able to cause an accident where the 3 on the border were able to also get injuries. Unfortunately, 1 was able to lose their life. And this is not the only scenario. And if you reflect way back in 2021 in Arua district, if you also remember the same scenario, I do understand that we did, and we did also have so many engagements with URA by then. I also do remember the regional manager and together with so many other officials from URA were in Arua City here to engage and have an understanding with the people, and they were able to also do community barazas for them to tell the people to desist from some of the businesses that are really affecting the people paying taxes. I do understand that these officers also sometimes have targets that they want to really achieve, and targets that they are being set, and they want to fulfill them. But now, how do you fulfill them if the things are failing, if the obligations are failing? Why must you continue going to claim other people's lives? Why must you really continue doing this? Because at the end of the day, you are making innocent Ugandans lose their lives. You are making innocent people, innocent civilians lose their lives, and you are leaving orphans, because some of these people are the breadwinners in their families. And we are talking about this recently, even in Kokoliriko here, just in Kokoliriko here, one of the LC ones was able to lose his son due to the negligence of these same URA officers. But now, what I think URA needs to do is have its own officers, because working with UPDF to me sometimes is where the problem is coming from, because some of these people are not trained to really man civilians. They are supposed to be working on borders, they're supposed to be going for war, but the training they also give them sometimes also impacts very much on the operations that these people of URA are going to be undertaking. So I think this is also where I want to call upon Uganda Revenue Authority to really have means of formulating its own force. Just like KCCA, I think if URA did this with its own force, it will be able to really have an impact when it comes to people paying taxes, because people sometimes, when they look at these URA officers, and really the way they dress, also the way these people look, really scares a lot, because they move with helmets, they're in their vehicles, they don't laugh. You really wonder, because at the end of the day, they are supposed to work with the civilians. They are the ones manning civilians, which is not quite good. So I think if URA had better means of really formulating its own force, then this will be able to be a plus for them, because at the end of the day, we will be able to also really reduce on the cases, because we are talking about these cases. People come, new leaders come in the offices, but still nothing is changing over the years. I remember the last time I had an engagement with the regional manager, by then Kokoliriko Ivan, I think he has now been transferred. He actually engaged the locals, and we did talk to the leaders. We actually had an engagement with the leaders. He had an engagement with the media and with the locals. They actually did go on having community barazas with the locals and sensitize them. And I think sensitization is really one key thing that maybe if URA had done, we'll be able to really see people also desisting from smuggling. But now smuggling, with our nature here, because we as West Nile, as Arua City, and other districts within Arua City, we are bordering two countries where smuggling may actually be very much impossible to control. But maybe what they can do is really reduce on the cases of smuggling, because of our proximity to these nearby countries. So many goods coming from there. If you look at most of the motorcycles within this region, actually, motorcycles believed to have entered from DRC, and some of them have actually used the porous borders. And now what means can URA do to really ensure that these people are helped? These young boys who are riding the borders, some of them actually get these motorcycles to really make an earning of. And this is also one area there the leaders of Madokolo actually did base their arguments on, because they said, if URA is using excessive force on these young men, it is going to put them off trade. It's going to really put them off the business. And the border industry, as we know, is one sector that employs a number of youths. And some of these youths actually are using these motorcycles that I believe are not having the number plates. So I think if URA had better means, maybe, because last time they actually came up with a soft means of people purchasing the number plates, because if I remember it was about 1.2 million, but you could actually pay in installments, and this actually came after one of the shootings that was in Arua district, and this was a resolution for a period of time whereby these young boys had to go and register their motorcycles with URA, and they pay the monies in installments, and they had to secure the number plates. But sometimes also it goes back to the youth. Most of us may not be interested in the number plates. So I think this is where the leaders of the place have to come in place now, because at the end of the day, without taxes, really, the country may not survive, and without taxes, the country may go nowhere. And really, this is where I also want to call upon everybody to ensure that paying taxes is fulfilled, because it is our mandate as citizens all to see to it that we ensure our mandate in terms of paying taxes, because this is where we get the social services that we really want in terms of the various social services that we need. Talking about health, we are talking about roads, we are talking about security, because all these have to be paid through monies which we pay in form of taxes. But sometimes we also have to pay the taxes, though we are paying, because I do understand that sometimes we also pay these taxes indirectly in terms of what we buy, some of the things we buy. But now smuggling is one area that is really causing a lot of commotion, that is really causing a lot of wrangles between the citizens and the tax body, which is URA, which is mandated by the government to ensure that they collect taxes. I think this is where we really also want to call upon everybody to ensure paying taxes. But now the challenge also goes back where people do not really see the benefits of them paying taxes. If you look at most of the roads right now, when people look at them, they lose the morale of paying taxes. Once you look at the hospitals, sometimes when they lack drugs, people also get demoralized when it comes to paying taxes. And with that, I really want to put the discussion on URA to a halt, and we are going to be running for a short commercial break, and when we return back, we shall be able to pick up with the conversion from there. But in case you have anything that you really want to share with us on the show, feel free to use our various feedback generating platforms. For instance, YouTube, you can be able to use our YouTube link and also drop in your comments there, and I think we will be able to share with the producer and share with the rest of the viewers also, to see to that what you think, maybe any advice that you think URA can use to see to it that they address this challenge of people continuing to lose their lives. Because from live example now, one leader, this was in Italy, I think Napoleon Bonaparte said it, one of the leaders actually said it back then, if you remember European history, that how people have forgotten nothing and learned nothing. And I think this is what the same URA is also doing. They have learned nothing and forgotten nothing from the past experiences, because each and every year we continue talking about people losing their lives due to the errant behaviors of URA officers. And with that, allow me to run in for a short commercial break, and when we return back, feel free to drop in your comments, and we shall also be able to pick up with the conversation. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Family the bigger feast this Christmas with StarTimes upgrade to Kongere promotion. Novel customers on antenna decoder simply pay 16,000 shillings per bouquet monthly subscription to enjoy basic bouquet for free. Enjoy variety of entertainment including Hello Mr. Right on Makula Chika, Kazanya Kukazanyo on Makula, animations and cartoons on Boeing, series on TLC and Star Life. Even better, we have added all your favorite local channels. So make this the unforgettable holiday. More content, happier family.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, a very warm welcome to you watching West Nile Television this hour of the morning. It is the first show with me, Farish Majid, and in case you are just joining us right now, you're also most welcome aboard in a special way. And this is the Kokoliriko live show where we give you the morning updates and some of the headlines, maybe also give you discussions and explanations to some of the issues that are trending on the various media platforms and various social media platforms. Also bring them sometimes to really discuss and make you understand of what is happening in and around your vicinities. So I think this is the show that you really do not have to miss each and every Mondays to Fridays. This is where we also give you insights to some of the issues that may be affecting your society, and we expect that some of the issues also to have an impact on you, the viewer, and through the society. We also expect to bring change, and that is why, as West Nile Television, our #1 mission is to enlighten the region. And one way actually we are going to be enlightening the region is through having topical discussions on issues that may be affecting your society, that may be affecting you as an individual. And in the first hour, when we started the show, we did discuss operations of the URA, the errant operations of the URA officers, how they are using brutality and excessive force on the citizens to see to that when they are doing their work, which is quite unfortunate, which is quite regrettable. because each and every year we continue reporting cases of people losing their lives when it comes to these issues of URA officers acting errantly. So I think that is where we just had a lot of talks, where we had a lot of discussions in that line, and really we are looking for ways of how best URA can now have solution to this issue that has really been affecting the people, because in less than 5 months, people from Madoko are losing their lives, and the leaders from there have already now raised their eyebrows, and they have already started talking about the issue, and we also expect justice for that one person, Achidri, who has lost his life, and for the rest, the 3 who are still nursing wounds at Nebi General Hospital who had been rushed for further medication. We also expect this to get justice. But now, sometimes when this comes, I remember the last time URA actually had an engagement with the family of this woman who had lost their lives, who had lost who had lost her life from Madokolo again. How the events ended was not really sometimes also good, because when we were there at the RCC's office, URA officers also had some slight disagreements with the family members when it comes to the issues of the document. One of the officers was actually hesitating to give the document to the family members, which was quite unfortunate when these family members, through their lawyer, demanded to have a copy of this letter, and they only managed to get this after a long period of negotiation. And as media, that thing was really not quite good for us, and we really also condemn it, because we expect transparency. If you want people to really fulfill their mandates of paying taxes, then we need to ensure that the issues of payments are really transparent enough, and really we have to make people understand why they must pay taxes. And I think this is where now the issue lies in the hands of the leaders, because they're the best that talk to the people, and this is to the politicians most especially, who really go up the grassroots levels of convincing these people to vote for them. If you can be able to convince these citizens to really vote for you, then why don't you also convince them to have an understanding of why they must be able to pay their taxes? And I think that is where we are putting on the discussions connected to URA shooting aside, and we are heading on with, because we have so many issues that we really want to discuss. And in case you have anything that you want to put forward, feel free to use our various social media platforms to have a say on what we are really discussing. And now moving on to Yumbe district, where really it is quite sad. It is somber mood in Yumbe district, where the people of Yumbe district are mourning one of the young citizens in that district there. And this is Captain Balewa this is Captain Balewa Swadik, who is son to Juma Balewa, the LC1 of Adravu sub-county. And this is a son who had joined UPDF at a tender age, and really, we did lose him. And for the students of UMBSS, I do understand this is your hobby, and really want to also cry and mourn with you, because this is a young boy who had raised the flag of this region high. It's not an easy thing to have people heading these positions, people going for these trainings. And this boy, after a senior 6, I do understand, according to information from the father, he came in and he asked the father, actually he didn't tell the father he was going for this training, but due to the love for the force and due to his love for the nation, and he was able to really tell the father he was coming to Arua for something, and asked for transport money from the father, who is an LC3 chairperson for Odravu. And Odravu is in Yumbe district. Odravu is a sub-county in Yumbe district, and really was able to join the forces. And for 2 years he was taken to Russia, where he did complete his trainings. And when he came back to Uganda, he was deployed immediately to start working with the UPDF in the Department of Air Force. And while doing operations in Toroko, was able to really lose his life as the flight captain. And this is a young boy who lives behind wives, and I believe he leaves a young family. And now the leaders of Yumbe district are also calling upon UPDF to ensure that this family is helped, because he's leaving a very young family behind. Being a young boy, he's also leaving the young family that needs support, because the children that they are there. And now the leaders through the LC5, Abdul Mutwalib, yesterday did call the government and the UPDF in particular to really have a helping hand to see to it that this family is helped, maybe in terms of building for them. They need to put accommodation for this family whom Juma Balewa is leaving behind. Yes, they were actually expecting the body by yesterday, but the body unfortunately didn't land in yesterday, and the body is expected to be in Yumbe today. And this is going to be buried in his ancestral home. This is also in Odravu, and really we do pray with the families, we do pray with the people of Yumbe district, because losing your life at that young age really is something that we really do not pray for, because we expected him to be still raising our flag very high and higher. He was among actually the very few who were selected from this region to really join the Air Force of UPDF, and he was one of the lucky ones. But unfortunately, he has now lost his life, and we really pray for his soul to rest in eternal peace, because there we now have nothing to do. His life is gone, and that is the time, and that is the agreement he signed with God for the Muslim believers and the Muslim faithfuls. We really understand that when you die, it is your agreement, it is your time, it is the time that you sign with God, but at such a certain time T, I will be able to really go, and the way I'm supposed to go back is also the same. I may be able to first join the force. I will do something small, and being as a breadwinner, he's leaving a big gap. I do understand he's leaving a big gap in his family, and to his father, to his relatives around whom he has been helping, because really sometimes when we work, we do not work for ourselves as young people. We work for the people around us, we work for our families, we work for the families of our wives, we work for everybody. I do understand that is when that's why I say he's leaving a very big gap, not only for the family members, but for the region and the country at large, because he has been serving the government. He has really been serving the government of Uganda. He has really been serving the people of the Republic of Uganda, and really ensuring that there's peace and stability when it comes to our country, and that is where actually they were heading for these operations. And I believe he dies as a hero. So I think this is something that we really also want to have a say on, and this is in connection to the death of this young boy, Juma Balewa, who is a young boy who has really been in the force of UPDF. And now moving on, we really have so many, the impeachment of Sheikh Shemambo as the Mufti of Uganda. This is something that really also amazed me, because this shows that the saga within Uganda Muslim Spring Council is not yet settling. Yes, the things are still not yet getting settled, and really also do really want to call upon the leadership of Uganda Muslim Spring Council to really have quick means to see to that they draw means to really solve these issues amicably, because issues of leadership, once not addressed very well, it also affects the kind of leadership that you who is in office can put out, because you may be working under fear. So I think these issues are addressed very soon, and Mubaje did also comment recently that he's actually looking for the best successor. His problem is not living, and this follows the constant demand by a section of the Muslims who had actually demanded for him to step aside, and these issues followed the accusations that he had sold the mosque. He had sold a number of Muslim properties, such as Gaddafi Mosque, which raised a lot of issues, and the issues actually reached up to court, and the president had to finally intervene, and this is where these issues have really been causing a lot of commotion among the Muslim clerics, and this is where it has also been causing a number of issues among the top leaders of Uganda Muslim Spring Council, who have been really wanting to see the man leave, but the man says he's willing to leave. His problem is not leaving the office, but his problem rather is to leave the office in the safe hands, in the right hands. And I believe he said, if he identifies the right successor, why then doesn't he leave the office? Yes, why then doesn't he leave the office? So I think this is where really he actually did come out and clearly say that he's ready to leave the office. It is not that he has refused to leave the office, but rather he would want to leave the office in the hands of the right people. And I don't know whom the right people are. I do not understand what he means by the right people. I do not understand the criteria he's using to see to it that the best leaders maybe will be able to select. And now, recently, these same leaders had sworn in Sheikh Shemambo as an interim, as an interim mufti, but now they have put the discussions on hold. They have really put everything on aside. They have really put everything on hold right now, because there is nothing they can do very much, and they accuse him of not following the rules and procedures of working during the interim period. So I think this is something that we also need to follow up. We do not know when the Uganda Muslim Spring Council saga will end, and as people of West Nile, we are following up, because we do understand how this organization began, and how the history, if you really know it, it actually started way back in the reign of Idi Amin Dada. Idi Amin is also somebody from West Nile region, so we have to keep on following the discussions in line to Uganda Muslim Spring Council, and we shall be able to also keep you updated when it comes to these issues here. And now, moving away with the issues of Uganda Muslim Spring Council, putting discussion connected to Uganda Muslim Spring Council aside, we are still moving on. The Commonwealth Speakers Parliament is still going on, and this is at Commonwealth Resort Munyonyo, where a number of presiding officers and speakers from across several countries from Africa already in attendance, and the things are ending tomorrow. They started, I think, yesterday, and they will be able to end tomorrow, where the discussions are very much centered around climate, I do understand, peace, and all other areas. And now the leaders who attended this event yesterday actually did come out clearly to say to it that it is going to help them really also expand on their knowledge on certain laws, because sometimes because at certain time some leaders also drag down when it comes to these issues of making laws. Sometimes their operations are affected because they do not have enough knowledge. But when such engagements happen, and this is not only for the speakers, this is for the presiding officers of elections, because these elections, presiding officers really have a role, have a mandate to see to it that elections organized fair enough. And actually the opposition leaders now calling upon the presiding officers to have a look to it, because they are saying in most cases the speakers are elected by the majority of the population in parliament. And for instance, in Uganda, it is the NRM government that is in power, and now that also dominates on who exactly will take over the speakership position. And that is why it is very much paramount, and that's why we see always the people who lead the parliament, who chair the parliament, people who from the ruling government. And now the issue is, the people are now asking how best can the opposition leader, can the speakers work with the minority which is in the parliament? How best can they work with? Because at times we have also seen people's relationship getting sour, not working very well when it comes to opposition and government, ruling government. That is why sometimes we witness opposition members of parliament storming out of the parliament. For sometimes they abscond parliament due to some of their demands which are not fulfilled. Sometimes also when they do not feel appreciated, when sometimes also once they feel what the government is doing is not right, that is why sometimes they also abscond and move away from parliament. And this is where we also expect these leaders now to share ideas. And the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Mong, was able to also explain on this. She said this is really a great milestone to her as a leader, as the Speaker of Parliament, to host this. And remember, Uganda won this bid some time back, where the declaration was actually made, and Uganda is now hosting it. The event is ending tomorrow, and so many leaders already in place. And this is organized. This is held by the government of Uganda. It is government of Uganda strictly that is hosting this year. And this year's Speakers Conference and Presiding Officers Conference has really attracted a number of leaders from various states across Africa and across so many other countries also from overseas. This is where they are discussing issues and how best they can be able to address some of the issues that are affecting the world today. And this is also where we expect them to share ideas. We also expect them to share knowledge, because conferences should not be done like that. It's not something that we are going to be just sitting and talking about when we leave, and we leave prematurely. We leave without any knowledge. I do not expect this, and I believe the leaders who have gone for this are really going to have a benefit of it, and they're going to benefit very much from the training, because the training is really quite good for them. It's quite good, and it's going to help them. And now moving on with still in relation to the opposition and the West Nile region NUP leaders, National Unity Platform leaders, are demanding for government to work on the roads and have the infrastructure development, or else they're going to demonstrate. And we are following up on this. We are going to be witnessing, we are going to be following up till the last drop, and see to that when they're really going to hold this demonstration that they are talking about, because they are demanding. And this comes because of the roads that are really in miserable and dire states. And if you look at most of the roads now, and the rains actually worsened them, the prolonged rains that we did have was actually one factor that worsened the status of our roads. And now we expect the government also to have an improvement. If you look at the road that connects from Pakwach to Kampala, the road is really not good. From Arua, up to Pakwach is not good. And that is why we're also having so many accidents on this road. That is where we're also witnessing people's goods getting destroyed. That is where we are people are witnessing losses. And that is why also for the travelers, we are finding it very much long to travel on these roads. And now the youth leaders, recently during one of the press conferences, and this was this week, they were able to really also share their opinions and the issue, a warning to government that if their pleas are not addressed, they're going to come on street. And we are following up keenly. We shall also be able to keep you updated as the viewer of the Kokoliriko live show. And today, I've been Farish Majid, and we are still going with you up to the hour of, that is 9 a.m. It is our first hour, and this is the second segment in the first hour. This is actually the second half of the first hour. and we are going to be doing it like this up the hour of 9, and at 9, that is when we shall also be paving way for the Liberty News to come through and give you what is happening and maybe what happened in your absence, because really if you do not watch news, then you may not be knowing what is happening in and around your vicinity. So I think this is where we are heading on, and if you really feel that you want to say something, because in the first hour we did discuss URA, we came to the Yumbe district mourning one of the young soldiers. We did go up to, we are still continuing, we have discussed quite many. We have discussed now, we have just been discussing the Commonwealth Speakers and Presiding Conference that is ongoing at Munyonyo. It is ending tomorrow, and really, we really expect our leaders who are there to really have an understanding, to share knowledge when it comes to legislation, sometimes when it comes to making the laws, because the laws are really something that we need to ensure that we develop. And I think with that, we are going to be running for another short break, and when we return back, we shall be able to pick up with the conversion from there. But for now, do not move away from your television. This is the Kokoliriko live show on West Nile Television, and when we return back, we shall be able to pick up with the conversion from there. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Family the bigger feast this Christmas with StarTimes upgrade to Kongere promotion. Novel customers on antenna decoder simply pay 16,000 shillings, copper bouquet monthly subscription to enjoy basic bouquet for free. Enjoy variety of entertainment including Hello Mr. Right on Makula Chika, Kazanya Kukazanyo on Makula, animations and cartoons on Boing, series on TLC and Star Life. Even better, we have added all your favorite local channels. So make this the unforgettable holiday. More content, happier family.
This is time for working hard and producing and able to help somebody who is in need. Able to give to your loved ones. This is time for giving, for God so loved us and gave his only begotten Son. Do not go taking, give, and then you will receive. If you are planning to rob somebody, listen to me carefully, God is not happy with that. If you are planning to steal people's things, God is not happy with that. Destroy everything that makes you an enemy of your neighbor. It's only God who can destroy those tendencies in your life and that habit in your life, so that instead of taking, you are a giver, because we need to demonstrate love in our time. Again, this is not time for sexual immorality, but this is time for us to prepare ourselves to receive the blessing of God. Many of us are going to waste our bodies in going into people's homes and going with people's wives and going with people's daughters, and we are going to waste our lives out there. Listen, this is time for you to open your heart, open your hands, and receive the blessing of God. I speak to people who are listening to me. If you are listening to me and you are in West Nile, my region, will you make your body the temple of the Holy Spirit and guard it? Allow your body to be used to bless our region. Do not destroy somebody's relationship by misusing his wife or his daughter. Allow yourself to be a channel of blessing, because God brings you his life in order to bless other people. Again, this is not time for dancing the whole night. Some people are going to go into dancing spree, in discos and everything the whole night. In my place where I am seated, the devil has only given and deprived people who are wizards to dance at night. Why do they dance at night? Because they dance naked, which they can't do during the day. Why are you deprived of sleep when you should eat and drink and praise God and go to bed and sleep? Then go and worship God tomorrow without a hangover. Dancing at night, going to spend time out there with other women, with other girls, with other men, is not going to give you any benefit of celebrating such a day as this. And this is a time for praises. This is a time for worship of God, because God has given us a gift that we cannot afford.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Television. In case you're just joining us right now, you're most welcome aboard from the short commercial break. That is the Kokoliriko live show with me, Farish Majid. Today is the 50th day of the month, and this is the 5th of January, and we are still discussing issues Fridays on some of the topics that you really want to be in the know of. And for those who are watching us from overseas, and this is also a platform where we keep you updated with what is happening in and around the region, and that is why you do not have to really miss the show, where you also have to be part of the show each and every Mondays, and each and every Mondays to Fridays. And today I am Farish Majid and I am alone, but hopefully on Monday I will be able to also bring a guest where we are going to be discussing on some of the issues. And in the first hour, in case you're just joining us right now, this is the second hour, and from wherever you are watching us from, in a special way, allow me welcome you on board. And this is the Kokoliriko live show, and in a special way also, I also want to thank you, kept it right from the time we began until this hour here. This is where I also want to thank you and commend you for the good job. Because we are here to enlighten you. We are really here to also give you what is happening, because of the issues that you may not be knowing of, and that is why we keep you updated with the knowledge that we are supposed to share with you. And in case you also have something that you really want us to talk about, or you really maybe that we could have left out and you feel that we need to put out, you can also as well use our various social media platforms and that is on YouTube. You can use our YouTube link and drop your comments there. You can use Facebook, you can use X, you can use our WhatsApp. This is for those who are on our WhatsApp platform. You can also drop your comments there, because I do understand some of you sometimes also watch us from these various platforms. So feel free to drop in your comment. And the first hour we did discuss a lot, where we talked about the URA shootings. We did go to Yumbe, the death of the pilot in Yumbe. We talked about so many other things. We talked about the Speakers and Presiding Officers Conference that is ongoing, where now we are now heading with so many issues, because we are here to give you what is happening, and we still have a lot more for you to discuss, because we still have a lot. And in a similar development, and this is in relation to Pastor Bujingo, which has been trending. His attempted assassination has really been one of the issues, and has really been one of the talk among people, because so many people have really been asking who is behind the intended killing of Pastor Bujingo, and really, was this attack directed to him? Because from the information from police, because police is saying they really see no clear motive for the people to attack him, and they are failing to understand the reason. So I think police actually did come out clear to comment on this. And recently, yesterday, the Pentecostal churches in Uganda actually also did communicate on the same issues. They did condemn the attack on one of their colleagues, and this is Pastor Bujingo. And now the pastors are calling upon the government to up security and beef their security up, because I do understand they are saying their lives are in danger with this attempted attack on Pastor Bujingo, which left his bodyguard, Richard Muhumuza, who is also attached to Special Forces Command. This is SFC, a soldier who lost his life in this attack here, because as they were heading back home, they were able to be attacked by assailants who were on border, but we do not understand the reason for this. But the pastors do believe that it is because of his preachings and his message that is against homosexuality, and these preachings that maybe have caused him this problem of these people wanting to kill him, because he has always stood his ground against homosexuality, he has said no to it. So I think this is where the pastors also basing their arguments. Now they're calling the government to have an improvement on their security, to beef their security. And Pastor Semper, one of the pastors for the churches in Uganda, was actually saying, why would Pastor Bujingo go for an SFC soldier? Does he trust in God? And that's the same question now people are saying, because sometimes people really believe in this people of God more than any other person. So I think, why would you go for a bodyguard as a man of God? We do understand. Sometimes we also expect you to pray, not only have these soldiers around you, but now if pastors also having bodyguards, what about the ordinary citizen? What about that person within the society who is a nobody? Why don't you think you also need a bodyguard perhaps? So I think this is where the pastors also raising their questions, and they are really having it say that maybe pastor was believing in guns more than God. So I think that is why he opted for the security and guidance of special forces people. So I think this is where people have also been raising questions, and I think with that we also expect really the assailants to be brought to book, because Richard Muhumuza really is a young man who has really also lost his life, and we do not understand the reasons for these people to come and shoot him, really, because Pastor Bujingo survived and got minor injuries, was able to also drive the vehicle from where the incident happened up to Mulago National Hospital, where he had been admitted and got medication from, and unfortunately his driver was unable to survive, because the attack really was not quite a good one, which was also something that we need to condemn as citizens. So I think we really need to ensure security, we need to ensure vigilance. Once we are moving in these places, let's also be watchful of who is coming around us. Sometimes this is to the public figures also. We really need to be watchful, because Pastor Bujingo has been receiving these death threats. I do understand that he had been receiving these death threats from people who are unknown, and from the death threats, we are now seeing the death threats also trying to yield results, because really, if somebody is threatening your life, and they also sometimes come for you, which is something that we really need to also condemn, because at the end of the day, this is where people will continue losing their lives, people will continue dying which is something that is really not good, because we are talking about security. We are really talking about people being secure, but now gun attacks are still continuing. We do not have war, but we still see people being attacked using guns. Who are the people behind these guns? Where do the guns come from? Where do they get the training to use these guns from? That is something really I do not know, but we also expect answers when it comes to really these issues of these gun attacks, because people continue losing their lives. The religious clerics, some few years ago, we lost Major Chigundu, who was a soldier, also a sheikh. He lost his life. We also seen so many sheikhs being killed using these guns here. And now the same trend is moving to the pastors, which is not quite good, because if the religious people really start losing their lives when it comes to these unscrupulous people here, due to the unscrupulous people, then we are going to be seeing them also running away and really losing the trust, and they may also start doing their work with fear, which may also really also affect society, because really if we do not do that, then it is also going to affect. It is going to really affect the kind of service that these people really put out. So I think that is something that we really also need to condemn as people of this city, this country. We really pray that the leaders who are in office provide lasting solutions to the issues of gun attacks, because we have lost so many people. If you have to look at so many big people, we have lost them. We have lost judges, we have lost members of parliament in terms of these things here. We have lost soldiers themselves being shot. We have lost police officers. So I think the gun attacks are really continuing, but we do not know who exactly is behind these gun attacks. But we have never arrested anybody. But I hope one day we shall be able to also have one of these persons arrested, and they will be able to also explain to us who has been sending them and what motive they actually have when it comes to having these people here. And now moving on, and really we have so many things that we are talking about really affecting the region. So many things are happening, and now if you are to look at security, which is quite good, yes, I must condemn the government. The security is good, but there's still a lot that needs to be done, because people still continue losing their lives when it comes to guns. And where do the guns come from? Because we are talking about people, not only the big people losing their lives, we have also seen business people losing their lives. Even arrested here recently, was it last year? Yes, when one of the business persons was able to lose 50 million in hands of these thieves in broad daylight at about 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. perhaps. He was able to be attacked by unknown men who were also on motorcycle. But ever since then, we have never arrested them. The police came on the scene and took samples and said they're going to be able to identify where the gun is. And recently also, last year, the same, where we did have one of the security guards killed, who was on duty, was also killed by these thieves for unknown reasons. So I think people really also sometimes coming up with these guns and using them anyhow on people is also something that we really need to find solutions to. And the government of Uganda also needs to really have something done, because we are talking about having no war, but people still continue losing their lives in terms of guns. This is something where I also need to really have a say and call upon government to address this issue here, because if it is not addressed, then we are also going to continue witnessing for it. And this is now putting the discussion to Pastor Bujingwa's side. We shall also be keeping you updated, because if there is any other development or the story, we shall be able to also really keep you updated, because this is still a developing story. I do understand so many things are going to be said about it, and really, if there's any, we shall also be able to inform you come next week. And because this is the Kokoliriko live show, today is the Thursday edition, and really we are already running so fast when it comes to time, and we now want to put that discussion of Pastor Bujingwa's side. We are now heading to the arrest of Mr. Ijuka, the Arua area water engineer, who was arrested by IOG, yesterday, IOG's Inspectorate of Government, on charges of corruption. And according to the letter we did see circulating on social media, it was said that the Inspectorate of Government ordered the arrest of Mr. Ijuka Norman for abuse and theft of public property, causing financial loss worth 100 million Ugandan shillings. And Dr. Patricia Achano Kiria, the Deputy IGG, ordered the arrest of Ijuka, who has been on run since he committed the said offences. The water engineer stole properties which included 847 water pipes meant for Upi water project in Omugo sub-county in Terego district. He alleged that the works were complete, whereas the works were not. So Mr. Ijuka Norman was arrested on 3rd of January 2024 in Arua, and is expected to be arraigned before the Anti-Corruption Court on Friday, 5th of January, which is today, to answer charges against him. And according to Dr. Patrick Achian or Kiria, Abuse and theft of public property is an offense of corruption and refer to actions that can have serious consequences for society as a whole, and they undermine public trust and impede services and waste taxpayers' money. Yes, why don't I have a say on this? And really, corruption is one factor that has really been dragging down the country, because sometimes these people who are entrusted in the offices, who are given the mandate to really take up the mandate of steering up the various departments, and this is quite common with people working with government, where they also sometimes really want to benefit from the projects in undubious ways. So I think this is something that we must condemn, and we also expect a lot to be done. And the issue of fighting corruption is a collective one. It is one that does not only lie in one person's hand, because if we do not have this issue of corruption addressed, then service delivery is going to be hampered. Because if you look at how Odupi is one of the sub-counties in Terego, and this is actually one of the, and recently, according to a statistic released last year, it was showed that 47% of the water bodies in West Nile sub-region are not good for human consumption. They are actually contaminated. And what does this mean? It means that national water, which would actually provide for these people safe and clean water, to access to clean and safe water, if it is now not doing the same, then people are going to be opting to go for these other waters that are not safe enough, that are contaminated. Then at the end of the day, issues of disease outbreaks are going to be rampant. If I talk about so many diseases that are really affecting, the waterborne diseases that have really been in place, that have been affecting so many people, we're talking about typhoid, because one of the issues that actually people have been talking about typhoid is drinking unboiled water, which is contaminated. So I think if people address this challenge of really not drinking or not playing with government funds or not playing with the offices that they hold, then it will be able to really also affect service delivery, because service delivery is some area that we really, if we do not address it properly, then it is going to affect the kind of service that we really want to get. Because as citizens, sometimes we pay these taxes to get these services that we really want to see. For instance, water, because this is one of the areas where we pay services. We expect water, we expect electricity, we expect security, we expect access to health. Yes, this is where people want to see the taxes that they pay also doing the works. And now government is putting efforts to see to it that they improve on people's services through water, and somebody is just taking over the monies like that. Over 100 million, really, you can imagine how much money that one is and what it would have done. Over 100 million. This is not only that 100 million. He has also been accused of picking other things. So I think this is something that we really need to condemn. And fighting corruption is our role. We all have part to play when it comes to addressing corruption. And you can actually act as a whistleblower by reporting cases of corruption to the nearest facilities, nearest police post, where we also expect the security officers to do their investigations. And now they're investigating, I believe they are investigating, they will be able to come up with substantive judgment, which may also be able to really also warn the rest of the people who will be able to also want to take part in corruption, because corruption is one area that is quite bad, that is quite shocking, because if we do not really address issues of corruption, then we are going to be suffering, because corruption is one factor that has really been dragging down the country, and so many issues have really been said in line to that, because corruption, once it's not addressed, it affects service delivery. And you, the citizen who is keeping quiet when it comes to issues of reporting corruption, it will be you to complain of the poor roads, because that is corruption. If we do not really ensure that we pay taxes, it is also corruption. And if we do not really ensure that the monies that we get from, this is to the leaders, if we really ensure that the monies that we get to over services, this is the different people, not only the leaders, these are people who have been entrusted to do these works here. If we do not really put these monies into proper use, but once we start thinking of only of our selfish interest, once we think of only our stomachs, then that is quite shocking, that is quite bad, that is quite regrettable, because at the end of the day, we are going to be the ones to suffer, our people are going to be the ones to suffer, and this is also going to really also affect on the kind of service delivery that is in place. And this is where we're also going to be witnessing several issues when it comes to really service delivery being dragged down, because service delivery is something that the citizens expect. That is why sometimes they also vote for these people that they interest, and this is why sometimes they also have to hold you accountable. because this is holding you accountable to the people is something that you are mandated to do. You also ensure, you are also supposed to do, because this is something that once we do not do it, then it's going to be also affecting. And now, really, if we do not ensure that, it is going to also really drastically drag and affect our operations. So I think, as people of this country, we must condemn corruption in the highest order. We must condemn corruption. We shouldn't carry corruption, because corruption is one factor. You just imagine how much money is really. Recently, we are talking about people. I remember recently when the government, when the outside governments say they're going to cut aid to Ugandan government, it raised a lot of fears. It raised a lot of questions. How then would we really sustain the budget, and how then can we really ensure that the country moves to the next level? One issue that was actually raised is that if we address corruption, because the money that the country loses in terms of corruption, according to some of the whistleblowers, is actually almost similar to the money that we receive in the form of donations from the donors. And if we address that issues of corruption, then the issues connected to corruption, the service delivery would actually be history now, because once these issues were addressed, then we would see services being improved. Because if services are not improved, that is when people also find it very difficult to pay taxes. People find it very hard to continue paying taxes. People become resistant to paying the taxes. So I think that is something that we really have to really stop moving on. And moving away from the region now to Isingiro, people living with HIV decry harassment and denial of ARVs. And really this is something that is really quite shocking, which is quite bad. And every day we must come on the show and talk about health. And sometimes, which is also not good, because if people are living with HIV, sometimes they survive on the drugs. And if you talk about HIV, you remember how the virus weakens the people's immune system. And sometimes really they have to survive on these drugs. And now once they start getting these drugs out of the facilities, once they start not getting the drugs, then we are going to be witnessing people losing their lives, because once their immune systems are weakened, then they become prone to so many diseases. Any disease can kill them. Malaria can actually kill them. Any other disease, yes, can actually get and weaken their bodies, because the HIV virus is one that weakens these people's immune system. So I think this issue is quite sad when these people decry harassment, and now you harass somebody who is already sick, somebody who needs guidance, somebody who needs counseling, somebody who needs your help, and now you're harassing them. Then this is quite sad, this is quite shocking. And according to the information we're seeing from there, people living with HIV in Isingiro have asked government to come up to their rescue and protect them from mistreatment, harassment and denial of drugs by some health workers. According to the victims, the cases are high, especially at Ruborogota Health Center 3 and Rwakubura Sisters Health Facility in the Isingiro Town Council. And the district leaders have since launched investigations into the matter with intention to crack whip. And now we are talking about leaders really going for investigations. And now, when will the investigations end? That is something that I really do not know, because sometimes our investigations also take long to see to it that these issues are not addressed. Once justice is not offered, then people are going to be losing their lives. You can just imagine how many people have been able to lose their lives when it comes to really seeing that these issues are addressed. And according to the information we're seeing from there, it is estimated that government spends about 700 million annually, 700,000 annually for each HIV patient, and making the public health discourse important. And now you can just imagine how much money these people are spending to secure their health. Because recently, if you have to look at it, actually one of the warnings that the European government also made to Uganda is cutting the donation, cutting the aid in terms of giving the HIV ARV drugs. And remember, one of the goals, actually, the millennium development goals, was actually to end HIV by 2030, and we are just some few years to 2030. I don't know how possible this one is going to be like. And we had a target of ending HIV out of the world and the country at large. So I think this is something that if we do not address, but it also goes to the people. And right now, as the young people are out, really, I also want to call upon them to see that HIV is reduced, because HIV is one disease that has been a burden to the country. It has been affecting so many people, and so many people today live with a disease. Others are living healthier, and this is actually attributed to the health facilities that they have been getting. So I think if we address these issues of people mistreating them. And sometimes medics really, I don't know why they must keep on mistreating the citizens that come for health services. Why must you really be attacking and really torturing these people? Because this is not only with the HIV drugs. We have had scenarios of pregnant mothers and expecting mothers, going for these antenatal services, sometimes also really raising questions and raising complaints against these medical workers who also sometimes mistreat them and torture them. Because once they labor wards, we have had those cases, we have had those scenarios, we have had those cases reported that once they head to these labor wards, sometimes they are being mistreated and beaten by these medics who are supposed to give them services. So I think that is something that is quite regrettable, that is also quite sad. At the same time, as medics, you are trained not to harass, but rather to be helpers. You are really supposed to help these women here. And the one motto actually, they say that if you save a life, it is actually as if that you have saved 1,000 lives. So I think you have the mandate of really saving lives. And once you start doing that, then definitely you are going to be able to also affect on the services that really that people are supposed to be getting. And this is something that we also really need to condemn the people, and we also need to really warn the people against this, more so the medics who are really ensuring that they have to really ensure that they offer the right services to these people here, because if they do not really offer the right services, then it is not going to be something that is good and something that is really going to affect people. It is really also going to drag down service delivery, and this is also where HIV cases will still keep on shooting up. And because remember how many cases of HIV are being reported among adolescents, this is something that also we really need to also have something to say about. And this is the family members. This is the time where also, if you as a family head, you need to have time with your children and tell them about HIV, because HIV is still a killer disease. It is still quite there, though people nowadays sometimes also have negative stereotype about HIV. Some say it is better. They do not fear HIV. HIV is not a disease that can kill. It's not scary anymore. It is better. They rather fear cancer than HIV. But I want to tell you, my sister or my brother who is watching us right now, I want to tell you that HIV is still a dangerous disease. It is still within us. It is still killing hundreds and millions of people across the world every day. Because if we do not really ensure that we protect ourselves, then definitely we are going to be suffering. And one way actually you could actually protect yourself from HIV is quite simple. Being faithful to your partner, and that is one. Secondly, using protection, and protection in terms of using the condoms which are there. And sometimes these condoms are actually free of charge. And if you look at the government, these pink condoms, they are the facilities. They give them free of charge. You can actually first use them, you can actually go to them and pick them. And then thirdly, you also need to really ensure that you first head in for HIV testing with your partner. And this should only be once. This should be more than 3 times before you engage in that sexual intercourse with your partner, because you do not know really what the disease is, what disease the person is carrying. He or she may not be carrying HIV, but is carrying other sexually transmitted diseases like syphilis and gonorrhea. So I think this is also where we need to really protect ourselves and ensure that we protect ourselves from these diseases which are already killing so many people. Where now with coupled with so many allegations and accusations against medics mistreating and torturing these patients, which is quite shocking. And this case was actually reported in Singiro, and I do understand. I also do believe that if we do not address this challenge here, then so many people from that area are going to be able to also die of the disease. And if you have to remember, HIV is still quite common. Even in our region here, it is still quite common, but HIV is most common according to the information we have. It is commonly among the areas that have islands, these water surrounding bodies, because of the recklessness or sometimes negligence of the people who live around these areas here. But now, also, it is also quite common in the urban settings. And if you look at urban settings, if you come to Arua here, the HIV rates, the HIV prevalence rates are also very high. And recently, during the celebrations against the World AIDS Day, it was actually revealed that in Moyo, the prevalence rates stand at 29%, which is quite a huge number. And really, this is something, the 29%, then you can just imagine how many people get contracted disease on daily. So I think this is something also I really want to interest myself with, and I really want to also call upon everybody to ensure that they protect themselves from the disease, because if they do not really protect themselves from the disease, then the disease may be able to be a burden and wipe up the generation. So I think this is something that we really need to also ensure ourselves from, and we really need to protect ourselves and the loved ones, the people we love. We also have to protect them. If you know that you're HIV positive, why would you want to sleep with somebody whom you claim that you love? Don't you think that you are killing that person, and you're claiming that you love me, and yet you have the disease and you want to sleep with me? So that is something that is really quite good, not good. So I think let us stop the spread of the disease. Let's control the disease. Let's use the proper means that I then placed that can really control the disease. If you have the disease, open up. Tell the person that, yes, you love me, but I have a challenge. The challenge is this and this. It is because I have the disease and I cannot love you, and rather I would rather be having somebody who already has the disease. I do not want to really kill you, because giving somebody HIV is mad itself, because you know you have the disease. You are giving it out to somebody knowingly that you have the disease, and the person is not aware of it, and you keep quiet. This is really something that is really quite shocking. The ARV drugs are still there in place for those who already have the disease. Let us continue swallowing the disease, because let us continue swallowing the drugs, because the disease is quite. You can really ensure that your lifespan is extended through the HIV antiretroviral drugs, which are there in the health facilities. But now, once medics start denying them, then that is something that is quite regrettable. That is quite shocking. That is quite sad. And within the festive season, I do understand that so many people had reckless lives. And this is also where you need to be worried. If you really had a reckless life that you do not understand, you may not be carrying the disease, but if you suspect, you better rush and really have yourself tested, because this disease, you can still live a long life. Yes, nobody should tell you that this disease is going to kill you in the nearby day. No, you can still actually have a long day. You can really actually have long years and live healthier, just like the other people also do not have the disease, because HIV, once you realize it early and start being on the drugs, then really, if you follow what the doctors tell you, then definitely your lifespan is going to be extended. You're going to live longer and healthier. And really, with that, I want to really also head in for another short break. And in case you are just joining us right now, this is the Kokoliriko live show, the last edition for this week. And today I've been Farish Majid, and we are still heading on with the discussion, and where we also want to keep you updated with when it comes to issues that are really happening in and around you. And if you have anything that you want to put forward according to the topics that we have really been discussing right from the time we began till this hour, feel free to use our various feedback generating platforms. For those of you watching us on YouTube, you can use the YouTube link comment section and drop your comment there. For those on Facebook, you can also use the comment section for Facebook and be able to also drop your comments there. And for those who are watching us from the WhatsApp platform, where you got the link from, feel free also drop your comments there. We shall be able to really also see and share, because at the end of the day, these are to help the society. And one way we're actually going to be transforming the society is by discussing and talking to you, and you also talking to us. That is why the Kokoliriko live show is here. And today I've been Farish Majid, and I've been alone, but hopefully from next week we shall be able to also engage guests. And once we come to you as a guest, please feel free to come and talk to the people who are watching you. And this is why the show is there, and that's Western Television, and that is why we're in place to actually enlighten the region. For now, allow me running for a short commercial break, and when I return back, we shall be able to pick up with the conversation from there. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
family the bigger feast this Christmas with StarTimes upgrade to Kongere promotion. Novel customers on antenna decoder simply pay 16,000 shillings copper bouquet monthly subscription to enjoy basic bouquet for free. Enjoy variety of entertainment including Hello Mr. Right on Makula Chika, Kazanya Kukazanyo on Makula, animations and cartoons on Boing, series on TLC and Star Life. Even better, we have added all your favorite local channels. So make this the unforgettable holiday. More content, happier family.
This is time for working hard and producing and able to help somebody who is in need. Able to give to your loved ones. This is time for giving, for God so loved us and gave his only begotten Son. Do not go taking, give, and then you will receive. If you are planning to rob somebody, listen to me carefully, God is not happy with that. If you are planning to steal people's things, God is not happy with that. Destroy everything that makes you an enemy of your neighbor. It's only God who can destroy those tendencies in your life and that habit in your life, so that instead of taking, you are a giver, because we need to demonstrate love in our time. Again, this is not time for sexual immorality, but this is time for us to prepare ourselves to receive the blessing of God. Many of us are going to waste our bodies in going into people's homes and going with people's wives and going with people's daughters, and we are going to waste our lives out there. Listen, this is time for you to open your heart, open your hands, and receive the blessing of God. I speak to people who are listening to me. If you are listening to me and you are in West Nile, my region, will you make your body the temple of the Holy Spirit and guard it? Allow your body to be used to bless our region. Do not destroy somebody's relationship by misusing his wife or his daughter. Allow yourself to be a channel of blessing, because God brings you his life in order to bless other people. Again, this is not time for dancing the whole night. Some people are going to go into dancing spree, in discos and everything the whole night. In my place where I am seated, the devil has only given and deprived people who are wizards to dance at night. Why do they dance at night? Because they dance naked, which they can't do during the day. Why are you deprived of sleep when you should eat and drink and praise God and go to bed and sleep? Then go and worship God tomorrow without a hangover. Dancing at night, going to spend time out there with other women, with other girls, with other men, is not going to give you any benefit of celebrating such a day as this. And this is a time for praises. This is a time for worship of God, because God has given us a gift that we cannot afford.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
After the hour of 9 a.m. and that is when we shall be able to also pave way for the Lugbarati news to come through and have what is happening in the world of news. And this is for the Lugbara speaking people who understand the language very well. You really need to also be waiting for what is happening, and the team is already set. They are getting ready, they're just wasting for time to really give you what is happening. And in the first hour we did discuss a lot. Already I can assure you that we are already in the evening of the show. We are running out of time really. We are just left with about 20 minutes to move out of the show and pave way for them. And we really also did discuss a lot in the first hour, and in case you're just joining us right now, you are most welcome aboard. But in the first hour we did discuss issues connected to the URA shooting, and we had a lot of discussions there with you, the viewer. And we did talk about how URA has failed to pick lessons from its past bad records of shootings, and today till date the shootings still continue to go on without really offering solutions to these problems here. But up to now we still continue reporting cases of innocent Ugandans losing their lives, sometimes people who are innocent, because the bullets sometimes also do not spare who exactly it was sent to. And once it is released from the trigger, it just goes like that, because once the bullet is released from the trigger, sometimes it goes without really not dodging, and anybody finds not necessarily who exactly it was targeted for, but sometimes really it also goes to people who are innocent. And now with that, we really also want to welcome you aboard and also thank you who kept it from the time we began till this hour of the show. And now moving on, the Ugandan shillings weakened slightly during the short trading week after Christmas, resuming trade at levels of 3,762 stroke 3,772 on Wednesday, and later settled at 3,780 stroke 3,790 to the dollar by the close of business on Friday. And this is for the poor in business, and for those who are engaging in forex trade, you must really be understanding what I'm talking about. And this is where we are also talking about the money is losing its value. So I think the market analysts say increased demand for both interbank transaction and corporate entities led to a weakening, and this is because demand was there, and I think people really wanted the money, and that is what caused the weakening. And this is according to the market analysts. And activity resumes after the New Year break. Analysts project that the unity is likely to continue seeing sessions of volatility. So I think this is where the issues of monies are really being raised, because if this Ugandan shilling loses its value, and we are comparing our money to the dollar rate, because if we are looking at that dollar rate and we compare it with one Ugandan shillings, then that is also something that is really going to cause people, some people may actually carry losses, and that is where it may also be very dangerous. And now the President of Uganda, the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has urged dairy farmers to put more emphasis on producing casein and powdered milk to benefit from the lucrative international market. Yes, we are talking about people sometimes producing surplus, but due to the fact that we do not have value addition, which has also been really keeping our farmers at loss. And now the President of Uganda has come up and really called upon these dairy farmers within Uganda, because we have quite many people who are really investing and getting a lot of monies, but the monies they would actually get would be more. So if they really invest, and they invested and tapped into the international market through adding value addition, and this is in form of producing casein and the powdered milk, because powdered milk, it expands on the lifespan of the milk itself, because if it is turned into powdered form, if it's turned into powdered form, then the lifespan of the milk is going to take long. So this is where actually people would avoid cases of carrying on losses in terms of the milk that is produced. If you have to remember, some time back, the price of milk in this country fell down, and this is because the milk was produced in surplus and the demand was also down. So I think if the people of the farmers within these areas actually start doing value addition in terms of turning this milk into casein and also turning it into really in value addition in other formats, in terms of turning them into powdered format, then we shall be able to also really benefit from them. And if you had one benefit of the powdered milk, as I did allude earlier on, is that it takes long to expire. The expiry date is actually very long compared to the milk that is in solid format. So I think this is where we do witness problems. And when it comes to issues of people are doing value addition, and this is where I want to encourage the farmers of this region to also tap into this same market, because if you are to really export something to overseas, for instance in Europe or other Asia, and once we start exporting this, then you can really imagine how much money you would actually be able to get. And as a lot of money is into farming, and this also goes to the PDM beneficiaries who are already using the monies, maybe why don't you save and start engaging in milk production business by ensuring that you also add value. Then you never know, the 1 million that you got recently may actually be your turning point into becoming a millionaire or a billionaire perhaps. So I think this is where I also want to encourage the farmers through the PDM funds who are already accessing them to see to it that they use the monies properly. They really have to ensure that they offer value addition when it comes to these issues in terms of producing the milk. Because as somebody who has a lot of cattle, because recently I was in Madokolo, somebody may be able to have, there are people who have more than 80 heads of cattle, and then these are producing milk. And the milk sometimes also is just being locally consumed because of the fact that we do not have value addition. And now this is where I also want to call upon government to extend their hand to these farmers, most especially those within the rural setting, in terms of really offering them the machines, in terms of offering them the knowledge, in terms of offering cheap electricity, also to see that these people also benefit from really from their activities. Because if they do not do that, then it's going to also affect the kind of the kind of business they're going to do, because business is really one area where somebody can be able to get a lot of monies. And this is where I also want to implore the farmers now to tap in what the president is saying, because as a wise man, as the head of the state, he is actually now calling upon them to actually engage into this value addition by turning milk from solid format to milk and into casein. So I think at the end of the day, this will also greatly benefit the farmers who are within these areas. And the president actually made these remarks recently, and we expect these things to happen. This was on Tuesday, January 2nd, while meeting a group of dairy farmers from Kazo and the Kiruhura districts at Karo primary schools in Awere, Kiruhura district. And Western Uganda is actually one area. We know the Balaro. They are the people who are mostly the Balalo we talk about, because when we talk about Balalo in this region, in most cases our minds tend to go back to these people who are from Western, because they are the ones that have the cattle, the Biogo, the ones that have long horns, and really they have been able to also produce milk that has been supplying, that has been benefiting the country, because the milk that comes from there stretches up to this region here. So I think this is where also the milk that is being produced needs to be updated, needs to be able to also really be helping the country. So I think this is something that we also want to call upon everybody to see to it that they benefit from it, and at the end of the day, it will also help the country very much. And with that, we are still heading out of time. We are still moving on, where quite a lot is happening. And somebody watching us, we also want to thank you for the people who are watching us from wherever you are. And I want in a special way thank Ondoma Bosco, who is a youth watching us from Mogadishu, and this is in Somalia. Yes, thank you so much, brother. I want to also commend you for always for being part of this show. I want to thank you so much, because you are watching us as far as Mogadishu. Mogadishu actually is in Somalia. And I also want to thank Sunday Fred watching us from Nansana. Yes, Sunday, I also want to thank you so much for being part of the show, for watching the Kokoliriko live show. And I do understand that these are sons of our soil. These are people from West Nile. I want to believe that way. And we shall be able so to keep you updated each and every morning when it comes to the show that is from 7 a.m. to that is 9 a.m. We shall always put you updated, and that is where you do not have to miss the show. Just like Sunday or any other person or Bosco perhaps, you also feel free to drop your comments. We shall be able to really share them with the rest of the viewers and we also tell them who exactly you are and where you're watching us from. And with that, really today we did discuss a lot right from the time we began till this time. And with this, I really want to also now paving way for the Liberty News team, and I want to really stop with the discussion today here. And today I've been Farish Majid in a special way. I want to thank whoever has been behind the show. I want to thank my producer Boniface, who has been behind the production works with these messages reflected, with these people's views also being shared once, and also in terms of programming the show and ensuring that the show runs smoothly without interruptions. And I also want to thank my camera person, Senior Design Pro, in a very special way. I also want to thank you very, very much for ensuring that I look this handsome, and I believe I must be looking very good on your screens, and that is why we always have to come here each and every morning from 7 up to the hour of 9. And today I want to thank whoever kept it right from the time we began till this time we are putting the discussion on hold. And for now, allow me stop for today here. Let us catch up again till next week on the same show or at the same time on the same frequency. That is West 9 Television. For now, I'm out.